The silence of space was broken by the roar of alien ships entering Earth's atmosphere. Above the planet, the fleet hovered, a massive armada of sleek ships with weapons that could obliterate entire cities. The aliens had traveled far, their mission simple: conquer Earth, enslave its population, and claim its resources. The humans below had no idea what was coming. They had been living their lives, unaware of the alien ships approaching. Earth's leaders had been too focused on their own petty conflicts to recognize the threat from beyond the stars. Little did they know that the alien invasion would change everything. In the capital city of New York, the sky darkened as the alien fleet hovered above. People looked up, their faces filled with confusion and fear. For the first time in human history, Earth was under attack. Panic spread through the streets as sirens blared, warning of the approaching danger. People ran for shelter, some not knowing where to go. The aliens had been watching Earth for years, studying its inhabitants, believing the humans to be weak and primitive. The invading force had planned this attack for decades, ready to take over the planet with ease. They expected no real resistance. Humans were just another species to conquer. But the aliens had made one critical mistake. They underestimated their enemy. As the alien ships landed in strategic locations, their weapons were deployed. The sky lit up with blasts of energy as the aliens began their assault. They had one goal: to destroy human defenses and capture key locations. Their first strike was at the military bases, and the humans responded with all they had. But their weapons, though advanced for Earth, were nothing compared to the alien technology. Human fighters were shot down in seconds, tanks were obliterated by the energy blasts, and cities were reduced to rubble in mere moments. The humans fought back, but they were no match for the invaders. As the destruction continued, the aliens landed on the ground. Soldiers in powered armor, armed with devastating weapons, marched through the ruins, preparing to complete the conquest. They laughed among themselves, dismissing Earth's resistance as nothing more than a brief inconvenience. "They think they can stop us," one alien commander scoffed, his voice deep and booming. "These pathetic creatures have no idea what they're up against." His soldiers laughed, the sound echoing through the wreckage of the city. They saw humans as weak, unworthy of the title predator. After all, the aliens had conquered countless planets, defeating species far more advanced than the humans. To them, Earth was just another insignificant planet to add to their empire. But what the aliens didn't know was that the humans had been preparing for this day. While the world seemed unprepared, there were secret groups working in the shadows, training, developing weapons, and planning for a day when Earth would no longer be defenseless. The humans weren't as weak as the invaders thought. As the first wave of alien soldiers made their way through the streets, they encountered an unexpected challenge. From behind the wreckage, a sharp, distant sound rang out, the sound of a sniper's shot. An alien soldier fell to the ground, a clean shot to the head. The alien forces froze, confusion spreading through the ranks. They had underestimated the humans, but now they realized they had made a mistake. "Who fired that shot?" the commander demanded, his eyes scanning the horizon. But there was no answer. The humans were hiding, blending into their surroundings, watching from the shadows. Another shot rang out, this time hitting an alien officer. The humans were fighting back, and they were using tactics the aliens didn't expect. The commanders and soldiers had assumed Earth was defenseless, but the humans were smarter than they had thought. The aliens, in their arrogance, had walked straight into a trap. The aliens quickly regrouped, but they still didn't understand what they were facing. They were used to facing overwhelming force, using their superior technology to crush opponents. But these humans weren't fighting like any other species they had encountered. They were using guerrilla tactics, blending into their environment, hitting from the shadows, and then disappearing before the aliens could retaliate. Meanwhile, the humans watched from their hidden positions, their hearts pounding. They had known this day would come, and now it had arrived. The time for hiding was over. They had to fight back. They had to show the invaders that they had made a terrible mistake. The world's most dangerous predators weren't in the sky above. They were on the ground, hunting from the shadows. The aliens' arrogance had made them blind to the true strength of humanity. As the battle raged on, the humans would soon show the aliens just what Earth was capable of. The tables were turning, and it was only a matter of time before the invaders realized that they weren't the ones in control. For the first time, the aliens began to feel fear. They had made the ultimate mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price. The alien forces had landed with overwhelming power, certain that Earth's cities would crumble beneath their might. They had expected an easy victory, a quick and painless conquest, but humanity had other plans. The initial shock of the invasion quickly gave way to a realization. Humans weren't helpless after all. They had been underestimated, and the aliens were beginning to feel the first stirrings of doubt. The aliens had sent their elite forces, well-equipped, well-trained soldiers from 1,000 worlds. These warriors were used to fighting against civilizations that were far more advanced than Earth, yet none had ever put up a resistance like this. Earth's defenses were supposed to be antiquated, with little to no chance of stopping the invasion. But in the hidden corners of the planet, humanity had something the aliens didn't expect: resilience, strategy, and cunning. As the alien commanders scrambled to organize their forces, they began to realize that they weren't dealing with a primitive species. Earth's soldiers, though outgunned and outmatched, fought with a tenacity that couldn't be calculated. They didn't just fight to defend their homes. They fought to protect their very way of life. In the dense forests of North America, a group of humans lay in wait. Their equipment was old, some of it even scavenged from previous battles, but they were experts in stealth. They knew the land, the terrain, and most importantly, they knew how to remain unseen. When an alien patrol passed, they moved quickly, silently. A sharp crack echoed through the woods as the first sniper took his shot. An alien soldier fell to the ground, his body twitching before going still. The alien patrol froze, confused. They were used to their targets running, scattering in fear, but the humans were different. The next shot rang out before they could react, and another soldier crumpled to the ground. The aliens' confusion turned to panic. They couldn't track their enemy. Every time they thought they had found a human, the predator had already moved on. The humans were ghostly, slipping in and out of the shadows, leaving only death in their wake. The alien commander overseeing the operation was growing frustrated. He had called for reinforcements, but they were no match for the guerrilla tactics the humans were using. His forces were trained for all-out war, not a battle where every corner, every tree, every building could hide a threat. They had underestimated their enemies in a way that no conqueror should have. In one of the cities, a different battle was unfolding. Alien mechs, towering machines of destruction, marched through the streets, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground beneath them. Their weapons were capable of leveling entire blocks with a single shot. Yet even these war machines found themselves being picked off one by one, slowly, methodically. Inside an old, abandoned building, a small group of humans had taken refuge. They had no advanced technology to speak of, only makeshift weapons and a desperation to survive. They had observed the alien mechs for hours, learning their movements, finding patterns in their attacks. They knew that these mechanical giants were powerful, but they also had weaknesses. They were slow, cumbersome, and vulnerable in places that the alien soldiers hadn't accounted for. The first shot came from a homemade rocket launcher, fired from an alleyway just as the mech approached. The projectile struck the machine's joint, causing a massive explosion. The mech's leg gave way, and it crashed to the ground. The alien crew inside was disoriented, but they didn't realize what had happened until it was too late. More rockets came, hitting the vulnerable areas the humans had targeted. The aliens inside the mech never stood a chance. The humans cheered, but their celebration was short-lived. They had no time to waste. The city was still under heavy attack, and the alien forces were regrouping. They knew they had to move quickly before the invaders could call for reinforcements. As the first wave of invaders faltered, the humans realized something. They were not just fighting to survive. They were fighting to reclaim their world. The aliens had underestimated them, assuming they would simply roll over and give up. But humanity's true strength lay not in their weapons or their technology, but in their will to fight, to protect everything they held dear. The alien generals, high above in their command ships, were beginning to notice a shift. The humans were no longer just retreating in fear. They were standing their ground, making every step the aliens took a costly one. The first signs of panic began to creep into the alien ranks. They had expected resistance, but not on this scale. It wasn't just the humans' ability to fight back that was surprising. It was their sheer determination, their refusal to be conquered. As the battle raged on, the human forces grew bolder. They realized that the longer they held out, the more the aliens would lose their confidence. The human spirit was not easily crushed. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, they kept fighting, using every tool at their disposal. The aliens were quickly learning that this was not the easy conquest they had envisioned. They were not facing a primitive race that would fall before them. They were facing humanity, Earth's most formidable predator. The alien forces began to retreat, their once confident and imposing presence now frail and uncertain. Their commanders scrambled to regroup, but something had shifted in the very air. The humans, who had seemed weak and outmatched at first, were now proving to be a more formidable enemy than anyone could have anticipated. Humanity, despite being outgunned, outmanned, and underprepared, had shown the invaders a side they hadn't expected: fearless resilience. Each defeat the aliens faced fueled the fire in the hearts of the humans. It was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a battle for their homes, for their families, and for their very existence. The alien generals, now fully aware of the unexpected strength humanity had mustered, began to change their tactics. They had underestimated Earth's will to fight. They had thought humans were just prey, weak and easily disposable. They had been wrong. The humans were hunters, and the aliens had stepped into their territory. In the hills of Africa, a group of resistance fighters set up a makeshift command center in the shadows of the mountains. Using salvaged tech and outdated military strategies, they'd managed to monitor the alien communication networks. What they discovered shocked them. The alien forces were not just retreating. They were preparing for a full-scale withdrawal, a retreat from a world they had expected to conquer. "Where are they going?" one of the resistance fighters asked as he scanned the communication lines. "They're pulling back," another fighter answered, his voice tinged with disbelief. "They're regrouping, but they're also afraid." The news sent ripples through the command center. The aliens were afraid of humanity. The invaders who had once thought of themselves as superior were now worried that their prey had turned into predators. In the skies above the battlefield, alien ships loomed, circling with an ominous purpose. The massive fleet, designed to overwhelm and annihilate, was beginning to falter. While they had the numbers and the advanced technology, the humans had learned their enemies' weaknesses. They understood how to strike when and where it hurt most. They knew that brute force could only take them so far. It was strategy, cunning, and an unyielding spirit that was turning the tide. On the ground, in the midst of the chaos, a small squad of soldiers had a different mission. They were tasked with one thing: find the alien command ship and take it down. If they could destroy the ship, they could cripple the entire alien operation. It wasn't an easy task. Getting close to the heavily protected ship would require skill, precision, and a lot of luck. But the squad was determined. They had learned to adapt, to use the environment to their advantage. The world they knew had become their weapon. The squad's leader, Captain Ellie Foster, spoke to her team as they crouched in the shadows of a dilapidated building. "We move in fast, take out their perimeter, and infiltrate the command ship. We don't have much time before they reinforce, so we make every second count." "Understood." "Yes, Mom." The team responded in unison. The squad moved silently through the streets, their every movement calculated and deliberate. They had learned how to move unnoticed, using the cover of the wreckage left by the initial invasion. The alien soldiers patrolled in large groups, thinking themselves invincible behind their heavy armor and advanced weapons. What they didn't know was that humanity had developed an uncanny ability to use their surroundings, their environment, to exploit their enemies' every weakness. Captain Foster led the team through the ruins, keeping low to avoid detection. They could hear the distant hum of alien vehicles and the occasional crackle of their communication devices. The city, once a vibrant place of human life, now resembled a war zone. But Foster's squad wasn't afraid. They had seen worse. This was their world, their home, and they weren't going to let it fall without a fight. As they neared the alien command ship, the squad held their breath. The ship loomed overhead, an imposing sight, but the aliens didn't realize just how vulnerable they were. Captain Foster knew that every step they took brought them closer to the heart of the alien operation. If they could bring down this ship, the entire alien strategy would collapse. They would prove once and for all that humans were the true predators in this fight. The squad's sniper, Private Marcus Miller, took his position, ready to eliminate any threats that might interfere with their mission. His scope settled on the alien guard's position near the ship. A deep breath, a steady hand, and the crack of his rifle sent one of the guards crumpling to the ground. His body fell without a sound. The rest of the team advanced, moving in perfect synchronization. The alien soldiers were slow to react, caught off guard by the precision of the human assault. Before they could organize a counterattack, the team was already inside the command ship's perimeter, planting explosives in key structural points. In the control room of the ship, the alien commander stared in disbelief at his console. His once unshakable confidence had been shattered. He had thought the humans would break, but instead they were forcing him into a retreat. His forces, once at full strength, were now disorganized and retreating in disarray. The humans were no longer the prey. "We've underestimated them," he muttered. And now it's too late. The aliens had failed to see what lay beneath the surface of humanity. They had believed that Earth was a weak, primitive world. But in truth, humanity's greatest strength was their relentless drive to survive. The aliens, powerful as they were, had walked into a trap they didn't understand. The humans had turned the tables, and the predators were now the hunted. As the sun set over the ruins of the battlefield, the ground shook with the sounds of distant explosions. The alien forces, once confident and unstoppable, were now on the retreat. Their ships, which had once hovered over Earth's cities like an oppressive cloud, were now fleeing in panic. The humans, who had once seemed like easy prey, were showing the invaders something far more terrifying: their own strength. The squad, having completed their mission with precision and skill, now stood atop the ruins of what had been an alien stronghold. The mission was a success. They had successfully planted explosives, crippled the alien command ship, and left a trail of destruction in their wake. But this was just the beginning. The war was far from over. As Captain Foster surveyed the scene, her eyes narrowed with determination. The human resistance had made significant progress, but the real battle was still ahead. The alien forces were regrouping, and they would be coming back stronger. Humanity couldn't afford to rest on their laurels. They had shown the aliens that they were not to be underestimated, but now they had to prove it on a global scale. "We've given them a reason to fear us," Foster said, her voice resolute. "But we need to keep pushing. We can't stop now." Her squad nodded in agreement. They had seen firsthand what the aliens were capable of, and they knew the fight was far from won. The real challenge was yet to come. Back in the Resistance headquarters, the news of the successful strike spread like wildfire. The humans had taken down one of the most heavily protected alien ships, and in doing so, had sent a clear message: Earth was not a world to be conquered. It was a world to be feared. But the aliens were not going to let this defeat go unanswered. Behind the scenes, the alien leaders were scrambling to regroup. The moment they had realized that humanity was not the prey but the predator, the dynamics of the entire war had shifted. The humans had shown them what they were capable of, and now the aliens were afraid, something they had never felt before. "We underestimated them," one alien general muttered in frustration, pacing before his command console. "They're more than just primitive creatures. They're a force to be reckoned with." In the alien command ship, the highest-ranking officers gathered around a holographic display. They had lost one of their most important strategic positions, and Earth's resistance was growing stronger by the day. "We need to adjust our strategy," the alien commander said grimly. "These humans aren't like anything we faced before. We can't treat them as we would any other species." The aliens had come to Earth believing they were the superior force. They had believed that their advanced technology and sheer numbers would crush any resistance. But humanity had proven them wrong. The humans had been underestimated for too long, and now the tide was turning in their favor. Elsewhere on Earth, ordinary citizens were taking up arms, joining the fight against the invaders. It wasn't just the military anymore. People from all walks of life were banding together to protect their homes, their families, and their planet. Resistance groups were forming in every city, every corner of the world. The world that had once been divided by politics and borders was now united by a common cause: survival. In the forests of South America, a group of guerrilla fighters launched their own assault on the alien invaders. They used the dense jungle as cover, moving swiftly and silently through the undergrowth. Their weapons were primitive compared to the alien technology, but they had something the invaders didn't: the element of surprise. Meanwhile, in the frozen tundra of Siberia, another resistance group made its mark. They had built underground bases, using the harsh environment to their advantage. Their attacks were swift and deadly, leaving the aliens no time to react. The humans were learning from their previous mistakes. They were adapting, evolving, and becoming a force that the aliens could no longer ignore. Back at the alien command center, the situation was growing more dire by the hour. The aliens had thought they could simply overwhelm humanity with their advanced weaponry, but they hadn't accounted for human ingenuity, resilience, and the will to fight. The very things that made humanity seem weak were the same things that made them dangerous. The human spirit, the refusal to give up, the determination to protect what was theirs, had become the greatest weapon in this war. The aliens, with all their advanced technology and superiority complex, now found themselves on the defensive. And as the first cracks in their invincible facade began to appear, the truth became undeniable. The humans were no longer prey. They were the predators. The battle lines had been drawn. As the alien forces scrambled to regroup, humanity was making its final push. The once divided and fragmented planet had united under the banner of resistance, now with the knowledge that they were no longer prey. But the very predators the aliens feared, Earth's forces were charging forward with renewed strength. The alien high command, desperate to regain control, had deployed their remaining forces to Earth's largest cities, hoping to crush the human spirit once and for all. However, they had underestimated humanity's resolve. The humans weren't fighting for territory, wealth, or power. They were fighting for their very survival. In the heart of New York, the resistance leaders, including Captain Foster, gathered for one final briefing. It was clear now that this was not just a battle for Earth's future, but for the very soul of humanity. If they failed here, everything they had fought for would be lost. "This is it," Captain Foster said, her voice steady but fierce. "We've come this far, and we're not backing down now. We've shown the aliens what we can do, but we need to make sure they never forget it." The plan was simple but dangerous. They would use every weapon at their disposal, human ingenuity, guerrilla tactics, and the element of surprise, to strike at the heart of the alien invasion. The final objective: the alien flagship, a towering warship hovering over the city, controlling the entire alien fleet. We've already crippled their supply lines, and we know they're running low on resources," Foster continued. "Now it's time to hit them where it hurts the most." The resistance forces were ready. They had gathered everything they could, looted alien technology, adapted their weaponry, and developed new strategies. As night fell, the city became a battleground, with humans and aliens clashing in the streets, the sky illuminated by explosions and gunfire. Elsewhere, in the vast reaches of space, the remaining alien warships were preparing to engage Earth's defenders. However, even in the face of overwhelming odds, the humans showed no sign of fear. They had one advantage the aliens could never have anticipated: the will to survive. Captain Foster led her team through the streets, directing them toward the alien flagship. They moved swiftly and silently, knowing that time was running out. The resistance had no more room for mistakes. They had to succeed. Failure meant the end of humanity's fight for survival. As they neared the flagship's location, the aliens began to retaliate. Heavy fire rained down from the sky, and the ground shook with the impact of alien weapons. But the humans pressed on, determined not to let the aliens win. The human soldiers, armed with a combination of makeshift and alien weapons, fought tooth and nail to push forward. They were not the same people who had first witnessed the alien invasion. They had adapted. They had learned from every battle, every defeat, and every sacrifice. Now, they were an unstoppable force. The alien commanders, watching the events unfold from their command center, were beginning to panic. Their forces, once considered superior, were now losing ground at an alarming rate. The humans had caught them off guard, and now they were paying the price. "Retreat. We must retreat," one of the alien generals shouted in frustration. But it was too late. The human forces had already breached their defenses. Back on the ground, Captain Foster and her team had made it to the alien flagship's landing pad. The final battle was about to begin. "Hold tight, everyone," Foster said, her voice calm despite the chaos surrounding them. "We end this tonight." With a deafening roar, the alien warship's defensive shields flickered, then collapsed under the weight of the human attack. The resistance had reached the heart of the invaders' power, and they weren't about to let it go unchallenged. As the final assault began, Captain Foster and her team planted the last of the explosives around the flagship's control center. It was the critical moment. The aliens had pushed humanity to the edge, but now they were about to pay the price for underestimating them. In space, Earth's fleet was positioning itself for the finishing blow. The remaining alien ships, crippled and disoriented, were no match for the humanity's united front. The tide of the war had completely turned. The humans were no longer fighting just to survive. They were fighting to win. The explosion that followed shook the ground beneath them. The alien flagship, once a symbol of invincibility, was now a fiery wreck. And as the dust settled, the humans looked up to see the last of the alien ships retreating into the darkness of space. Earth had won. Against all odds, against an enemy who had believed they were untouchable, humanity had proven that they were the predators, not the prey. And as the sun rose over the battlefield, Captain Foster stood tall, knowing that Earth had earned its place as a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. Humanity had proven one undeniable truth. Never again would they be underestimated. The war was over. The fires of battle had died down, and silence now reigned over Earth. The alien invaders had retreated, and the remnants of their once powerful fleet were scattered across the heavens, a testament to their failed conquest. The humans had emerged victorious. But while the world celebrated its hard-earned peace, the cost of the conflict weighed heavily on everyone. Cities had been devastated, lives lost, and families torn apart. Earth had been pushed to the brink of destruction, but humanity had endured. The scars of war would remain, but the spirit of the human race was unbreakable. As the resistance fighters returned home, they were hailed as heroes. They had fought and sacrificed, and now they could finally rest. Yet there was an unsettling calm in the air, a sense that humanity's struggle was far from over. The galaxy, now aware of Earth's newfound power, would never look at the planet the same way again. Captain Foster stood atop the rubble of a destroyed building, gazing out at the horizon. The victory was sweet, but it came with a heavy price. The alien invaders may have underestimated humanity, but there were others out there, other races who would now know that Earth was no longer a weak, defenseless planet. Humanity had shown that it could not only fight back, but it could rise and conquer. "Do you think they'll come back?" asked Lieutenant Harris, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Captain Foster turned to face her team. "I don't know, but we're ready for them. We've learned a lot from this war. About them, about ourselves. We've seen what we're capable of, and we're not going to let anyone take that away." The team stood in silence, contemplating the weight of her words. It was true. The war with the aliens had opened humanity's eyes to a new reality. They were no longer the prey, but the predators. And predators don't wait for their next challenge. They seek it out. As the days passed, humanity began to rebuild. Cities were cleared of debris, and the injured were cared for. The survivors, forever marked by the war, worked together to restore the planet to its former glory. Yet there was a sense of unease that lingered in the air. The knowledge that Earth was now a force to be reckoned with was both a blessing and a curse. The human government, now united under one banner, began to take the necessary steps to ensure that Earth would never be caught off guard again. The war had taught them that they needed to be vigilant, ready to face any threat that might arise from the vast expanse of space. Captain Foster and her team, now celebrated as the heroes of Earth, found themselves at the forefront of this new era. They had been the ones to deliver the final blow to the alien invaders, but their work was far from done. Earth needed them, needed their leadership, their experience. The question on everyone's mind was whether humanity could maintain this newfound power, or if the aliens would one day return to finish what they had started. Foster wasn't sure, but she knew one thing for certain. Earth would never be caught unprepared again. In the months that followed, humanity's influence grew. Earth's fleet, now equipped with alien technology, became a force to be reckoned with. The once fragmented nations of the world had united, their collective strength far surpassing that of any single power. But with this newfound strength came responsibility. Earth was no longer a quiet, forgotten world. It was now a key player in the galactic stage. Captain Foster often wondered what lay beyond the stars. The war with the aliens had been just the beginning. There were countless other races out there, some peaceful, some hostile, and others still unknown. Earth had proven itself, but was that enough? Would the galaxy see humanity as a threat or as an ally? Only time would tell. But one thing was clear. The moment Earth had been underestimated, the moment humanity had been pushed to the brink, it had risen to become something far more powerful than anyone had imagined. As she looked out over the bustling city, Captain Foster felt a sense of pride. Humanity had endured. They had shown the galaxy that they were no longer weak, no longer the prey. They were the predators now, and no one would forget that. The universe had seen what humans could do, and whether they liked it or not, Earth was now a force to be reckoned with. And so, with that thought, Captain Foster turned away from the horizon, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. Because, as far as she was concerned, Earth had proven one undeniable truth. Humanity was not to be underestimated again. In the aftermath of the war, Earth's landscape had transformed. The scars of battle were still fresh, but the Earth was healing. Humanity had emerged victorious against the alien invaders who had once believed they were the dominant force in the galaxy. And now, the rest of the universe had no choice but to look at Earth with respect, fear, and admiration. Captain Foster and her team had become symbols of human resilience. They had not only repelled the invaders, but had shattered the illusion that Earth was weak and vulnerable. The victory was not just a military one. It was a statement to the galaxy. Humanity was not the prey. They were the predators, and they would fight tooth and nail to protect their home and their people. As the weeks passed, the human governments began to unite in ways they had never done before. National boundaries, once rigid and divisive, blurred as the planet worked together to rebuild. With the help of alien technology, cities were restored, and the global economy began to thrive once again. The shared experience of the war had given birth to a new sense of unity, and Earth was stronger for it. But the victory came with a weight. The invaders may have been defeated, but their retreat was not the end of the story. Earth had made a powerful enemy, and the galaxy was vast. There were still other species out there, some of which might not look kindly on a rising human empire. Humanity, however, was not afraid. They had seen what they were capable of. They had witnessed the destruction of the alien generals at the hands of Earth's sniper squads. They had watched as the invaders realized the true strength of the human spirit. No longer would Earth hide in the shadows. Now the humans were ready to stand at the forefront of the galaxy. The United Earth Fleet, now equipped with cutting-edge alien technology, patrolled the skies. Earth's military was stronger than ever, and its reach extended beyond the confines of their solar system. For the first time in history, humanity was exploring the stars, not as explorers, but as conquerors, and they were determined to show the galaxy that they were not to be trifled with. Captain Foster, now a revered leader, found herself in a constant state of alertness. The peace that followed the war was fragile. As Earth expanded its influence, they encountered new civilizations, some peaceful, others hostile. But humanity had learned to adapt, to fight back with a fierce determination that no one had expected. One evening, as Foster stood on the balcony of the newly constructed Earth Command Center, overlooking the shining city below, she was joined by Lieutenant Harris. The two women stood in silence, watching the stars. "They're watching us, you know," Harris said, breaking the silence. "I know," Foster replied, "but they'll have to get used to it. We're not going anywhere." It was a quiet moment, but it carried weight. The universe had witnessed humanity's rise, and whether they liked it or not, Earth had made its mark. No longer would the galaxy see Earth as a weak, insignificant planet. No longer would anyone underestimate the human race. Earth had become a power to be reckoned with, and the aliens had learned that lesson the hard way. But as Foster turned to face Harris, she knew that the real challenge had only just begun. The galaxy was vast, and there were many unknowns, but humanity had already proven its strength, and they would not back down. The human race was no longer in the shadows. They had stepped into the light, and they would stand tall, ready to face whatever threats lay ahead. The universe now had to reckon with Earth's might, and the humans who had once been the prey were now the predators. The reign of humanity had begun. And as Captain Foster and Lieutenant Harris looked toward the stars, they knew that Earth's legacy would be one of power, resilience, and unyielding determination. Whatever came next, humanity was ready to face it, not with fear, but with the strength of a species that had fought for its place in the galaxy and had won. The predators had risen, and the universe would never forget it.